Hello, and welcome to the inaugural episode of Will It Play? I'm Riley Dutton,
And I am Richard Zayas.
and essentially what we're going to be doing in this show is taking a blank Roll20 campaign and turning it into something playable in less than an hour. I have never played the thing we're going to use, so this is both a kind of stump the chump type of deal where we'll see how much I really know about Roll20, and also sort of a proof of concept as we work our way through a bunch of different games that you can basically play anything inside of Roll20.
Right. And hopefully things will arise where we could clear paths for what things we can improve on for certain games. So.
And in an hour from now, we have a guinea pig group of players who are going to actually play this game and whatever campaign the state is in at that time. So we only have an hour. So Richard, let's go. What is this and what are we doing?
So we are going to see if Shadowrun 5th edition will play in Roll20 or not. So Shadowrun is a science fiction fantasy tabletop RPG set in the not so distant future with cybernetics and magic and fantasy all together. So it's cyberpunk, urban fantasy, and crime noir. I mean, it's everything all mixed up into one.
And I have actually played the Shadowrun Returns video game they just launched, so I am familiar with the setting, although I've never actually played the tabletop RPGs, so I don't know the mechanics.
Right. And we are playing Shadowrun 5th edition. I'm using the quick start rules that they have for free on their website that comes with sample characters and a beginning encounter. So
okay,
everything we're using, they're giving away. So this is exciting.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get started. So
I guess my question for you would be, when you're making a campaign, what's the first thing you like to do?
Okay, well, if I'm sitting down, especially for a one-shot like this, where there's a predetermined beginning, middle, and end, and I know probably, about how far we're going to be able to get, I'll probably start by creating each of the pages I think I'm going to want based on the scenes that we're going to see, and get an idea of, what pages are going to be just sort of pictures of things, and I'm going to just, do more of theater of the mind, and what pages are going to be actual battles. I assume the Shadowrun is a mini, like there's actual battle maps and distance counts and that sort of thing.
Right.
Okay. So why don't you just give me a general overview of the scenes that we're going to go through, and then I'll start.
So there's basically PCs will start with the general NPC quest giver. Now that guy's supposed to be in a doctor's office, but I guess that isn't necessary. You could just do.
So it's just going to start. It's going to start mise en scene. It's just going to start right in the middle.
Basically, theater of the mind will be like, you got a text to meet at this place at this time, and then you're there.
And the first scene is just talking to the doctor.
Yep.
Okay.
And then the next scene, you'll basically go from him to staking out a fast food place.
Okay.
And so you'll want to see the outside or the street or who comes and goes, and then the interior of said fast food place.
And the interior is going to be something that we're going to use.
Interior will need to consist of like 4 small rooms, a couple security. I have like a list.
So it's an actual battle type situation.
The battle would need to be in the room, right?
Okay. Okay, what after that?
That's it?
That's the whole thing. So basically, go talk to the doctor, go stake out some fast food, and then go get in some kind of trouble inside the fast food joint. Okay, right. No, that's good. So essentially, that right now, those of you looking at my screen right now, so I've created 3 pages to kind of get me started. The first 2 we're going to do real quick. We're going to knock those out. The cool thing I think about Roll20 pages is that they can be battle maps, but they can also be used to kind of just set the scene. So a lot of times, if I have a situation where we're just doing an encounter and we're just talking to an NPC, or the PCs are at an important location that they're just kind of exploring and they don't really know what's going to happen yet, I'll put up some pictures or some just maps of the location to kind of set the mood, and that way we have something to look at and reference and kind of put you like you're there, but at the same time you don't need a full-blown grid-based map, where we need to know exactly where everybody is at all times. Right. So let's start at the doctor's office. Describe the doctor's office to me.
I mean, they don't describe. It just says it looks like so it's a cyberpunk shaman, so a combine of mystical and magic doctor's office.
Okay,
so you're just talking with him.
I am using the art library feature here, and especially for these kind of things where you're just looking for a picture of a doctor's office or something like that, a lot of times the portrait search is what you want to use, and it's going to search the web for drawings people have done or things like that that might be good representations of this. Does it say what kind of race the doctor is?
Yeah, the doctor is actually a. Let me see. I'll just hand it here. The Doctor is a clean-shaven, middle-aged elf.
And so you kind of see there's all kinds of stuff on here for Shadowrun Elf. I'm just kind of looking through to find something that looks like a doctor. I'm not really finding anything. Actually, let's search for shaman. Shadowrun Elf shaman.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we're not going to get it dead on. Oh, this guy's kind of intimidating, although I don't think that's an elf, though. Is that an elf? I don't think that's what counts as an elf in Shadowrun.
I mean, we could change the. I mean,
well, that's
change the story to fit their needs of what.
Yeah, and something that sometimes you have to do. You have to work with what you've got, and art is an important part of using a virtual tabletop. So part of it is
that works.
This guy
that
looks
guy's good.
Okay.
That guy's good.
And Richard can actually. This is kind of something cool. Richard is actually seeing as I drag things on the tabletop. He's seeing them show up on his screen as well. So that's a nice way we can kind of. Now the other thing I'm going to do is whenever I do these type of ones, I like to turn off the grid, obviously, and then I also like to set the background to black. And it's sort of like a movie thing. Like, I don't know but you'll notice when you watch a movie, you don't notice the black bars. It's kind of the same deal. When they get to the page, they won't notice the background is black. They'll just be like, oh, there's the picture.
Okay, so next.
We have the staking out the fast food joint.
Right, so if you have just a street, I think pretty sure we have modern settings of streets.
So this is just going to be like another set the scene type shot, right? This is going to be an actual battle map, is it? Or
I mean, the PCs can be on the map, but I mean, no, I mean, there's not a battle, but I mean, I would like to have the tokens on that map. There are things they can interact with. There are things in the environment they can interact with. I guess it's not necessary if there's a nice portrait of a rundown and greasy looking diner type establishment, that would work too.
What about this? Oh, you're not. Okay. So the thing I have to do is Richard's still on the last page because I haven't moved over the player bookmark. So I'll move him over. I mean, it's already got people on it running out and gunning.
That's fine. That works.
I think this is actually a concept art from the Shadowrun's Returns video game.
Yeah.
So that works.
I mean, and I can easily change the flavor text to say that it's a stuff and shack.
Okay. So, and again, this is where ignore the people running and gunning from the front of the shack, but there's some elements you could point out here. One more time, I'm going to search for sci-fi street.
Oh, another thing we need some music.
Okay, hold on just a
If
second.
we're just talking about the first two pages.
I mean, what else would you like to be in the scene if you had your druthers?
No, this will be fine.
You sure? Okay. All right.
Is it easy enough? There's basically one thing that could happen out here. So either the person does it or they don't, and then once they go inside, that's where the event will happen. So if they don't do anything out here, the effect will happen inside, not outside.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So now Richard's saying it'd be nice to have some music to kind of set the mood for both these mood scenes. So I'm going to use the jukebox tool and go to add. Now there is a couple different options here. I'm going to leave it on background music. So what are we looking for?
I'm looking for something that's noir. So.
Well, let's just search for noir and see what comes up.
Now it's raining.
Yeah.
It's like.
Now the one downside of the jukebox, and something I've been meaning to fix but never got around to, is you can't skip ahead in the track to preview it. I really wish you could do that right now.
There you go.
A lot easier. Here's tech noir.
I can't hear it, be sure. So
yeah, you can't hear it.
And if you like it, that's fine. If it matches the mood of the picture.
This one's kind of a bit more upbeat, so this might be good as a battle music too. Yeah, this would be good battle music. And actually, after you add to the jukebox, you can actually click on the text and change it. So I like to, again, and some people even like to put the number of the map. So, for example, I'll use this in the third map. That makes it a little easier to keep it.
Since you added it, I can listen to it now.
Ooh, I like this. This would be like the climax. Now, hold on, you can listen to all these in a second. Let me just finish it. Streetlight noir, huh? Ooh, yeah. This will work really well. For the outside that's perfect. Outside
perfect.
The joint. And then, what was this one back up here?
Maybe if you could even, at the first track would be no music, but rain. wind, like on a window or something.
Well, the other thing you can do is you can actually have more than one thing playing at once. So let's see if maybe we can even do something fancy and layer.
Well, if we do rain, and then I was actually gonna try to get a beeping sound, so I could be like, it's raining. You're in your apartment. Your cell phone beeps, or like you get a text, and I can play the beeping like your phone getting text.
Yeah, but this, I think you'll like this. See if I can find some rain. Now there is sound effects, which will do some better searching for sound effects as opposed to actual music. So you'll notice that just changed all the search results I got for rain. Now this is a bit loud, but the nice thing is you can individualize the... So by turning this one down individually and playing this and the intro, got a nice rain and music effect going now.
Yep, that's good stuff.
So now you can see we've kind of created a little bit of atmosphere. What'd that take? Like 5 minutes? I mean, it really didn't take very long to find the music we wanted. I think that's gonna be really nice. All right, so at this point, and the nice thing is, obviously, it's a lot quicker and easier to set up the Theater of the Mind encounters than it is the battle map ones. These go really, really quick. So, especially if you're looking to play a low prep game, you know, I highly recommend looking at some of the systems like Dungeon World or 13th Age that are a bit more Theater of the Mind based, story games, that kind of stuff. That makes it a lot easier, a lot quicker to set up things. But let's dive right into an actual battle map here. So we have a fast food interior. What are we looking to do?
Okay, so this is gonna be, I guess, we stuff our shack.
Okay.
Yeah, so this is like a greasy spoon mixed with a fast food joint. So I guess the size, I don't know if you want to make a map or try to find one. If you were going to find one, we need at least 2 small rooms partitioned off of a big room. So say if the room is like 20 by 20, then the small rooms are like, 2 by 2. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like in the corner. So like an office, dictate an office and like a freezer of a fast food place. And then tables and chairs, throughout. And anything else we can kind of drop in on top. Or we can try to build it.
Okay, let's just build it ourselves. I believe that on the marketplace we have some really good modern tiles. So I'm just going to search for modern tile. See what that gets me. That's probably too many results. Okay. So this looks like something that could be a fast food joint floor plan. So let's go ahead and start with that. All right, and so we're going to make the big room. Let's say we're going to make it 1, 2.
Oh, here, let me just say 1, 2.
6, 7, 8. Let's make it 8 by 8. How about that?
No, it needs to be bigger than that, like 17 by 17. We'll say like the entire restaurant is that big.
Is what? Is how big?
Like 16 by 16.
Okay. What I did there, I'm using the copy and paste feature, just kind of quickly double the size of the room. There we go. Okay, so that's the main room. And then you're saying we need a smaller room off to the side. Let's use like just some really... Oh, here we go. We have a lovely office. Here we go. Here's an individual office tile. This is coming out of the Philip Wright set, so that's where I'm getting these from.
Perfect.
Okay, so there we go. There's the office, and I can even pull from this set the walls. Looks like he's got walls, so I can do some lovely wall building here really quickly. Keep describing what else I need for me while I'm doing this.
Well, you're gonna need basically, so like you'll need a counter, like a fast food type counter, and then basically just tables and chairs strewn throughout the room.
Really quickly. Do you want the other 2 rooms side by side, like the other, or should it be top left? Can I put it up here?
It doesn't matter where it is, honestly.
All right, and I'm just gonna say, is it okay if it has the same floor as the main part of the building?
No, that's fine.
Okay. We'll do. Looks like we got some other options here, so let's just use one of these. And how big? It should be 2 by 2 as well, right?
Yeah. I would put like the food counter, like where people order, like over in front of that room.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. So
even if you just use like a table or like a gray block even or something.
There we go. We got a table right here. We'll use that. Whoop. So, okay, so like this.
Now I'd put it. Yeah, there you go.
And I'm holding down the Alt key a lot here because a lot of what I'm doing doesn't really necessarily snap to the grid, which is fine for now.
That's good.
So, okay.
Let's see.
So now do we need some tables and chairs?
Yeah, basically we just need tables and chairs.
You notice this isn't very sci-fi so far.
I mean, it's not. It's just supposed to be just like a. I mean, there's more stuff. Like we gotta put in security cameras still.
Yeah, okay.
And stuff. That stuff needs to be on the GM layer because we're gonna drop it in later.
Okay.
So I'm sorry that ruins it for you, but.
No, it's okay.
I mean, the tables could be just like.
Well, here, I like these chairs. Let me see if I can find more of a sci-fi table. But this is what happens when you have limited time. Well, we're going to steal this workbench. There we go. Okay. Let's put that. This will be our. So now the nice thing is I'm just going to make one table like this. Okay. Oop. Okay. Alright, and now I can actually take all of these elements and I can group them together. So now I have a group object. Oh, maybe. There we go. That I can move all at the same time. And I can also paste that group object and it'll make another group. So now I can quickly fill out this entire restaurant with my tables and chairs. Okay,
right.
There we go. We got a restaurant.
Sure, good enough.
Is it not good enough? Is there something
No.
wrong with it? Okay.
No, it's good enough. Okay, so we're gonna need two. Actually, can we make the door look a little more menacing?
The door to what?
The door to the restaurant. I guess right now there's just no wall there. It needs to be heavy and metal-ish.
How about extremely sci-fi?
Sure, it's fine. Perfect.
And see, now I'm kind of mixing and matching. This is actually from Saul Wynn's sci-fi set. So I'm mixing some modern sets with some sci-fi sets here, and that's okay. You know, really, again, this is about using your imagination. So.
What else? Okay, so now we need two things that look like guns, like sentry guns.
Oh, look, hold on. I'm gonna put a door on the door of the office too, right? I mean, makes sense.
Yeah. Okay. So I got two sentry guns.
Okay. So again, I'm just gonna keep using. And you can upload your own art too if you have. Okay. Well, I got some mechs looking mech. I got some mechs, robot tanks, drone rail guns, drone rail lasers.
Drone rail laser. That sounds fine. And we're gonna put them on either end of the front counter.
I mean, are they mobile or stationary?
They're gonna be stationary, and they need to be. Then we put them on the GM layer, and then I'll pop them down.
Okay.
I mean,
okay, now I'm going to switch from the map
layer
to my object and token layer. And the nice thing about this is now none of this gets moved on accident. Okay, drone railguns. Those will work, I take it?
Yeah, that works. Yep.
Okay, and you want me to put those where?
Great. So right here, one there, and then one there.
Behind the counter, like that?
Yep. Yep.
And now I'm going to use a shortcut to move those to GM layer. You'll notice that when I do that, they become. You can also right-click and hit Layer, GM layer. They become transparent, and that's what tells me that they are not yet visible to players. Okay.
Okay. So for tokens.
For the players.
No, this is for enemies.
Okay.
So first one we need. I guess so. Let's just get 5 humans that all look different, I guess.
All right, let's see what we got to work with here.
One female. 4 males, 1 female. We have a serious lack of modern tokens.
No, we have a lot of sci-fi stuff. It's just all like robots and military and mechs and stuff. You know what I mean? Now I got some like Star Trek looking guys.
Let me see them. That's probably fine, actually.
They got like phasers and stuff.
I mean,
here's what they look like. I mean, some have guns. Some have little computer pads.
That's probably
They're
fine.
all in red uniforms. I mean, that helps.
That's fine. Starfleet. The ball. Okay, the blue. We'll start with the blue skin guy.
Okay.
His name is going to be Vincent Fratelli. F-R-A-T-E-L-L-I. Everybody, all these people are going to have that last name.
F-R-A-T-E-L-I.
T-E-L-L-I.
Okay. Now, what I'm doing here is I'm making sure that player permissions are not set to C for name, right? I don't want the players to be able to see the name, right?
Right.
Okay.
Okay. So, let's get into the nitty-gritty about one of these guys. So, the way that damage works.
Okay.
Why
don't you just explain like just generally explain the mechanics to me? What do I need to know? Like, so Richard just explained to me the general basics of the Shadowrun combat rules, and they're very complicated, and I probably don't understand them completely. But there are several things I gathered from that I think we can go into Roll20. And this is where it kind of depends on your philosophy of how you want to do things. Some people like to just keep everything really loose, like it just is a regular tabletop. They don't want to put any macros in. They're either going to roll physical dice and just tell people the result, which is totally fine, or they're going to take advantage of just like rolling the d6, and then you can just literally roll 10d6 just like you would on a tabletop, and then you just apply the mechanics yourself of counting up the number of 5 or higher, counting up the number of 1s, and determining what to do. In this case, I'm going to recommend making one macro that's a global macro that everyone has access to, and then using our new roll query feature that lets you type in the number of dice you're going to roll, and that'll just make things go a little quicker. So to set that up, I'm going to go to the macros tab, and I'm going to click add. I'm just going to call this macro dice pool. For the action, I'm going to roll a variable number. So I'm going to put number of dice, the default being 1, d6s. And the other thing about Shadowrun is that it wants to know the number of successes that are greater than or equal to 5. So 5 or more. So I'm going to put greater than 5, which will tell me the number of successes that are 5 or more. And I can test this here. And it's going to ask me the number of dice. I'm just going to put 1. And in theory, now I got 0 successes. Let's test it with a 10 dice pool. And again, it's automatically counting the 6, 5, and 5 and giving me 3 successes. Now down here at visible to players, I can hit all players and click save. Now what that does is that allows everybody, once they get in the game later tonight, to come in here and add this to their macro bar. So what should be really easy is once I know what I want to roll, so let's say I am attacking somebody in Shadowrun, then I'm going to know, I still have to do the work to figure out how many dice should I be rolling. So I still have to look at my stun and my hits points, which we'll talk about in just a second, and then I still have to, subtract those dice from the number I should roll, and I also have to look at my stats for my weapon and my skills and figure out how many dice I can roll. But the nice thing is once I know that, I can just click a button here and then type that number in, so for example 4, and hit enter, and I get a nice roll where everyone can see the individual dice, but it's automatically done the quick math of look, so I can just glance at the number of successes and know, what I'm dealing with. It's going to highlight the 1s in red, so I can still see my glitches and count those up quickly. So I think that is kind of a nice balance between, instead of making a macro for every single ability, which you could do. You could set up a character sheet, you could set up every single stat in that character sheet, you could set up a separate ability on every character for everything, so you could just click one button and roll your gun attack move and have everything filled in for you. But I really think this is in this case, since it's just a one-shot, is a good balance between having a reusable macro that way you don't have to type the roll in by hand, but at the same time it's flexible and you just type in the number of dice you're going to roll in the dice pool. The other thing we talked about is you have to keep track of your number of hit points you have left and your number of stun hit points you have left. Are they called stun hit points or stun points? Or?
I mean, it's called a stun track and a physical track.
And does it start at a high number and then it gets counted down?
That's not. I mean, it's like for every 3 you take -1. They don't really count them as hit points.
I know, but like, do you start at 9 and then you subtract 1 every time you get hit, or do you start at
Uh,
0 and count up to 9
I mean, it's a box. So you start at the left and
and
you
you
go
just
right
mark
1,
things
and you go
off?
right 2, and that means you got -1. Then you go to the next level of the box.
Okay,
You go,
so it's counting
so
up essentially.
every level you go down, right?
Okay, but there is a maximum, right? Like you can, or is it just it keeps like I can get 20 hit points and that's just -8 or -7 or whatever
No,
dice,
there's a
and then I
maximum.
die or something.
Right.
Okay, so what's the maximum? It varies by character.
Very big character, yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to recommend that you use the bubbles on the tokens to keep track of those. I like to use the green one for hit points typically, so we'll use that as our main hit points one. And I think for hit points it makes sense for me to count down from the maximum, but the problem with doing it that way is that you won't, since this is dependent upon the number you've been hit by to do the negative. So, for example, it's less important that I have 5 out of 10 hit points. It's more important that or that's a bad example. It's less important that I have 3 out of 10 hit points left. It's more important that I've taken 7 damage because that's what the dice are based on. So if I count down from 10, I'm going to have to constantly look at the maximum number to remember how many I've missed. So it makes more sense, I think, in this case, to count up. So I'm going to start that off at 0, and I'm going to start the blue one, which is going to be my stuns, off at 0. Then as I take damage, I can come in here and I can just hit +1. And again, by using the relative, by putting the plus in front of it, it's going to keep track of the total for me. And then once I see that I can click on my token, I can see that I have 3 damage points taken, and then when I roll my dice pool, I can remember to take 1 off the number of dice that I roll.
We can add a status marker for that.
And yeah, you could also add a status marker. So that's where
With stacks.
yeah. So you could even use like I don't know, something like I don't know, doesn't matter, this one, and then yeah, you could 1, 2, 3. How many dice are you supposed to take off your dice pool?
Right.
So that's another thing you could do there. And really, I'm sure there's a lot more to Shadowrun that we're going to cover tonight when we actually play the game. But again, that's a good foundation, especially for a one-shot. If you're on your 5th or 6th Shadowrun game on Roll20, you might want to dig a lot deeper than that and really take a look and see, do I want to set up abilities for my ability macros for my commonly used abilities and skills, or do we just like the dice pool approach? But again, this will give somebody who's playing tonight for their first time a nice button to click, and instead of having to explain the whole formula in Roll20, all you have to explain to them is hit the button, type in the number of dice to roll, press enter, and then that's all they have to do. It makes their job a lot easier. All right, so that's all the setup we're going to record. Again, in the last hour, we have started, and I don't know how long this actually will be when you see it edited, but in real time, this has been an hour from the time we started with a blank campaign map. We set up 2 scenes while we'll be doing, Theater of the Mind, and we set up 1 scene while we're doing a battle. We built the map from scratch. We added tokens. We talked about the mechanics of Shadowrun and how they might, Roll20's macro system and dice queries can help you out and make your job a little easier for first-time players. So the next part will be us actually playing it with our group, and
Yeah.
that's coming right up.
I mean, I think the only things I'm going to do off camera, I'm going to add a couple more tokens, obviously, for the PCs. Add a couple handouts just so they know what the difference between like standard comic and combat action stuff is. All that stuff wouldn't be necessary if you had the information in front of you, but I know that they don't because I made sure that they didn't know anything before we played so that they were blind. But I assume that if you were a normal player in a GM'd game, you would give players information in advance, and they would have their character information and all that information ahead of time.
Yeah, and again, just like I talked about with the dice rolling and stuff, again, that's personal preference. When I play even my D&D games in Roll20, I like everyone to just have their basic, paper character sheets or PDFs open another window on their iPad, however they want to do it. So we typically don't put tons of stats into the character sheets, but some people like to be more automated and use the system, and they like to put, all the stats and all the abilities in so that everything's right there in Roll20. That's just a personal preference thing. So here comes the game.
Hopefully this was helpful.